As we've been exploring the different mech classifications, there's this idea of a trooper mech. You don't know the mission, you don't know the hex map, you might not even know the forces that you're going to be facing. A trooper mech, in my definition, is solid and excels at whatever situation it finds itself in. It might not be the best with what you're matching to your opponent, but it can hold its own. There's nothing worse than playing a random mission or a random map, as sometimes we do, and I brought a fire starter to a desert board. It happens sometimes. You take that risk. But generally speaking, this idea of a trooper mech in the various weight classes, if you don't know what you're going to face, you take this machine, it just does well. Now, as a light mech, I consider a Spider being an awesome trooper mech. And in many ways, it's very easy to overlook. It's the light mechs have speed. You look at something like the Jenner, tremendous firepower. The Spider is half that. You have two medium lasers, but they're mounted in the center torso, which means those things are going to be firing until they're not. Often what we see with light mechs, and most mechs in general especially, you've got primary weapons mounted in the arms. If you lose that arm, the way that the damage transfers, you lose the weapon. It's not always a case of roll for crit. Sometimes the arm gets blown off. What we see with light mechs is you could take one or two hits, or one hit depending on the mech and depending on the weapon, and you lose that arm. It gets blown off. This idea of a zombie mech is where the weapons are located in the center torso, right torso, left torso. You've really got to put that machine down. So the Spider, by its very nature, it has a little bit more resiliency than you think. But of course, being a light mech, it's not going to take much to put this machine down. The fact that it has two with the heat sinks and movement means I can always fire one of those medium lasers. Doesn't matter the modifiers, doesn't matter the range. If I'm in range, I'm taking that shot. So it's a great machine for kind of harassing. If I can get a really good shot, it has the redundancy of two primary weapons. And this is something that we don't always see in light mechs. Usually what we see is one primary, like a medium laser and the Locust, and then secondary machine guns or Wasp Stinger combos where you'll have the medium laser as the primary, but then short-range missiles or machine guns as those secondaries. So to have two medium lasers that you can fire, you can push that heat a little bit, no ammo to worry about exploding, or you can fire one every single time. It's got great speed, it's got good maneuverability, it's got jump, it has two hands, two arms. Now this is kind of an interesting debate for light mechs, where if you have to send something in for recon or send something in to kind of grab something, having a mech with hands, having a light mech with hands is very, very important. The Spider works well with a lance. If you need a little bit of extra firepower, you can get into rear armor or side shots or vulnerable shots with those two medium lasers. If we've got to run around, run and gun, scoot and shoot, we can do that. If I just want to run a skirmish, meaning run this thing up the left side of the table, across the deployment zone, down the right side of the table, just firing at anything that I can, keeping distance, keeping range, and keeping movement, it works there. I consider the Spider an absolute auto-include and a really, really efficient and great trooper mech for a very, very fair battle value.